Have you ever wondered what it's like to visit Rome in the off season, in the slow season? You know, from like November to February? Is it worth coming to Rome during that time? Is it too cold? Is it too rainy? Stick around and we'll answer those questions and give you a real good idea of what it's like to visit Rome in the off or slow season.
I wanna see you drop to the beat in the club. Don't wanna see you stop, move your feet, turn it up.
So what is considered the slow season in Rome? Basically, here's how I would say. I think December, the first 2 weeks of December is kind of a funny month because the first 2 weeks of December are definitely the slow season, but the last 2 weeks I would say are kind of the high season. Not very popular for American tourists, but super popular for Italian tourists and European tourists. Everything gets kind of filled up in that last 2 weeks of December. So that's kind of an odd month. Then you go back to a slow season in January, and for the first half of February is kind of the slow season. As you get to the second half of February, I think the tourism kind of picks up enough where I would consider that kind of like mid-season. And the same with March, it's kind of like mid-season. And then April, May, June, July, August, and September are the high season. So let's start with December. December is a great month because if you're there during the low season, first of all, you get to take advantage of all the Christmas spirit. The decorations are up, the Christmas trees are starting to go up, and it's just a lot of fun. People are in the right spirit and people are very friendly, yet there's no crowds in the first 2 weeks of December. Now, if you want to stay for Christmas and New Year's, it can be quite a great experience, but expect the crowds to be pretty significant. But again, December can be a great month for those reasons I just mentioned. And then we jump into January. Now, January is probably the overall slowest month of all of the months in Rome. And the reason most people probably don't want to go in January is because of the weather, right? They're thinking, I don't want to be in there when it's raining or really cold. Now, how cold is cold? In Rome, it is very rare for the temperatures to fall below freezing. Now, they do fall below freezing from time to time, but that's kind of the base, okay? That's about as cold as it's going to get. And if it's going to go to below freezing, it's probably going to happen in January, maybe the first half of February. Then the highs during those months are probably from the low 50s to the maybe 60s, which would be around 10 to 16 degrees Celsius. So it's really not that cold, especially if you're coming from a really cold climate. You might think these temperatures are fairly pleasant. Now, if you're coming from a very warm climate, near the equator somewhere or something where it's warm all the time, maybe coming in January and February, you might be surprised how cold it really is because you're just so used to those warm temperatures. So you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself, whether that's a deterring factor for you. Now, there's some advantages of each month, and here are the biggest advantages of coming during the off season. The off season offers you an opportunity to see Rome in a different light, in a more natural light. The Romans seem to be much more friendly. They're not so stressed. They can actually take time to answer questions, and Romans, for the most part, are very friendly. So that doesn't always come out when you're there in a hustle bustle, during the high season. They're so worked and there's so many people, and it's just kind of difficult for them to give you maybe the attention you might think you need. But if you're there in the off season, you're going to find, whether you're in restaurants or just talking to people on the streets, people tend to be a lot more friendly. They're just not so stressed out. They're much more relaxed. Another great reason to visit in the low season is the lines. Now, when you go to the Vatican, it's not uncommon to spend, depending on when you get there, you can spend 2+ hours in line at the Vatican. And there's lines at most of the other, like museums and the Vatican Museum and the Colosseum and the Pantheon. But the off season, the lines are very, very minimal. There's still some decent lines at the Vatican, but there's some workarounds for that. So the lines are much shorter, but we're not just talking about the lines at the monuments and all the sites. We're also talking about lines at the restaurants. At the morning, getting coffee, getting gelato, getting pizza. In the summer, it's not uncommon to spend, of your day, a couple of hours in line waiting for things, where if you come in the off season, you typically do not have to stand in lines. So those are the real two big advantages of coming to Rome in the off season. And let's look at each month. Like I mentioned about December, some certain advantages of coming in December, especially the first half of December. So January is kind of a quiet month, honestly, in Rome. Everything's still going. All the sites are still open. All of that's great. But if you're planning on extending your trip, you want to go down south to Sorrento or the Amalfi Coast, January is not the best month for that. And even February is not a great month for that. You go down there to Sorrento and about 50% of the town shut down. It's just too quiet. It's just their off season. I mean, literally it's turned off. So if going that direction on your trip after Rome was a big priority, I probably would wait until March to come to Rome. So January is probably the slowest overall month in Rome. But let's move to February. February is a unique month because in February, there's a couple of good reasons to visit. It is the beginning of the carnival season. They call it Carnevale. It's the festival season. You may have heard of the big carnivals they have down in Venice, or those are pretty exciting, and you can certainly attend one of those. But even Rome and all the little towns around Rome will have their festivals during usually the second half of February. So that can be a lot of fun to participate in. I strongly recommend if you're in Italy to try to find out where the nearest Carnivale is, because they're an experience, and we've got booths set up for great street food, and there's like medieval things, and it's just a lot of fun. So definitely attend a Carnivale if you're in Italy during the month of February. Another good reason about going to Rome in February is a lot of the clothing goes on sale in February. It actually starts in January, but the sales in January just aren't that steep, maybe 20% off. But as you move into February, you're going to start seeing 30, 40, 50, even 80% off the clothing. This is for the majority of the clothing stores in Rome offer huge sales and discounts in the month of February. So if you're into shopping, that alone is a good reason to come to Rome during February. So as we move towards the end of February and into March, it becomes the mid-season. The mid-season is still not too busy, but it's still a lot busier than it had been in the off-season. So you can expect, especially at the Vatican and at the Colosseum, you can expect those lines to start to increase. And even at the restaurants, but not to a point to where you're really gonna have to stand in line that much at that many places. So it's a great month. I think one of the best months to visit Rome is my two favorite as far as crowds. I mean, yeah, the low season is great, but the other 2 months in the mid-season would be November and March. 2 great months. Now, what about rain? It does rain in Italy. I mean, it's like any place, right? You're gonna get those showers. It's unlikely that you have those showers or rainstorms that come in and just wipe you out and it rains all day for 2 days, 3 days. That does happen from time to time, but typically it's more like a passing shower. You have your umbrella, you pop it out, you use it for 15, 20 minutes, it stops raining and you continue on with your day. It's not that inconvenient, to be honest with you. So now I want to talk briefly about accommodations. If you're visiting Rome in the off season, that's when you're going to get the best deals on accommodations. And if that's important to you, yeah, come in the off season. You're going to save hundreds, not just a few dollars per night, but hundreds per night. For example, in January and early February, I can get a 1-bedroom home Airbnb in a nice area of Rome for around 100 to 150 a night, and in some cases under 100 per night. It's pretty hard to find that value come March and April, and impossible to find it come April, May, June, July. So let's look on Airbnb just for example. It's March now, beginning of March, but if we look on Airbnb, I can kind of give you an idea of what you can expect. This is just going to be general. Here we go. Okay, we're on Airbnb, and this area we're talking about, this is typically where I stay, this down here is Trastevere, just across the river. Here you got Torre Argentina, Campo dei Fiori, and this whole area here. All these are really nice places to stay at. And we're going to compare apples to apples as far as area, not necessarily the exact Airbnb, but from March, this is from March 10th to March 17th, you can get, these are pretty highly rated. This is a 4.91, doesn't have a ton of reviews for, this is 121 a night. And the location is actually very nice, right over here near Largo Argentina. This is in Trastevere. It's got 320, probably a little bit more reliable review, but that's a very, very good rating for a place with 320 reviews, and it's 176 a night. Here we got one for 152, 300, 191, 158, 206, 241, 293. So that just kind of gives you an idea. Let's move those dates to May just to kind of give you an idea of the difference, and I think it's going to be pretty substantial. There's still going to be some opportunity, but let's just see. Let's go for a similar week for 1 week from the 5th to the 12th of May, and we'll see what we have. Okay, now we've got a place. It's got 22, 5.0, pretty good. Not enough reviews to really be a 5.0, but anyway, it's under 300, pretty good deal. Here's one for 346, 536, 415, 461, 362, 456, 424, 515. You can see a lot of these are now in the 3s, 4s, and 500s. Just, here we are 2 months later. And had you come in January, early February, they'd be another $50 to $100 less expensive. So visiting Rome in the off season is not just about money. We've talked about several great reasons why you should visit Rome in the off season. Personally, I find it just more relaxing. The experience is much more intimate, and it's just very much more, I guess, overall enjoyable. So if you've ever considered coming to Rome in the off season, I would definitely recommend you give it a try. I think you're gonna love it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you enjoy videos about Rome, consider subscribing. To the next one, alla prossima, ciao.